Good day. Welcome back to the Vitality Project. I'm Dr. Bob. Yesterday, we focused our attention on how we might focus in or identify spiritual resources in our own lives. What our sense of spiritual connection actually feels and looks like from inside. What did you come up with? I'd be curious to know. The reason we took an entire homework exercise to locate ourselves, spiritually speaking, is that it is far too easy in our workaday world to ignore such experiences that we talked about yesterday. You remember we talked about surprise, which literally from the Latin root means to be taken from above. We tend to ignore these experiences, and they're right at the core of every religious or spiritual expression on the planet. Why is that? You might well ask. Our habitual sense of ourselves, just day to day, it precludes for many of us a more three-dimensional view of what's really going on inside of us, and for that matter, between us. Sure, there's the obvious physical, material, skin, bone dimension of our lives, the concrete dimension, and we can all agree on that. There's also a fair bit of consensus on the fact that we all think and feel, and even though access to those thoughts and feelings requires some combination of introspection and sharing it with one another, we can still agree that it's something that we can talk about, that all of us resonate to, and it fits with our typical senses of self. But when it comes to the spiritual dimension of our lives, we often draw a blank. When you stop and think about it, how are we to speak of that which does not always lend itself so easily to words? How are we supposed to put our finger on something by definition is not concrete, like spirituality? For today's homework assignment, I want you to try and see how you can name for yourself, and maybe for another person, what you see to be the spiritual dimension of your own life. The rules are simple, and they're these. You must be willing to find some way, at least be open to finding some way other than words, if necessary, to describe that which is probably the deepest inside of you, and yet in many ways which remains the hardest to articulate. So I encourage you to get creative here and let your imagination go free. See if you can locate a name to yourself and maybe to another friend, another loved one, what it is that you see as being the essence of your own spiritual being, spiritual resources within. Thanks for joining me here today at the Vitality Project. Please stay healthy and be well, and come back and I'll see you tomorrow.